Now let's talk about overloading. Overloading methods, overloading constructors. When we look at the methods and even the constructor that we write, we have something called a signature. And what the signature is, it's the method's name and the data types of the method's parameters. It's not the names of the parameters, but the data types. For example, if I had something called add, let me see if I can bring up the right here. Add integer number 1, integer number 2. This was an add. This is a method. I could have another add, string 1 and string 2. And these do two different things. The first one adds two integers together. So if I had a 3 and a 4, it add them together, come up with the sum of 7, and it would return 7, return an integer. But in string add, it combines string 1 plus string 2. What it does is it concatenates. So it puts string 2 after string 1. And so it might say, my name is, in string 1, and string 2 would be Bob Menzel. It would put them together and say, my name is Bob Menzel. That's what would be combined, and that's what combined would send back. So they do two different things. The add method will do two different things. Polymorphism, to a degree. I have add, and what the Java compiler does is it looks at the method's names and the type of parameters. And so if I had a method named add and I had two integers, it's going to use the first one. If I had the method add and two strings, it would do the second one. So it looks again at here add integer or add string and string, and it picks the method based on the name and the types of the method's parameters. Two integers, the first one, two strings, the second one. This is called dynamic binding, which means the method call is not hard-coded when you compile the program. As it runs, it looks and says, oh, this add, I'm going to run this one, I'm going to run that one. That's called dynamic binding. The compiler uses the method signature, which version to use when it's running. And we can do the same thing with constructors. I can have multiple constructors as long as, if I look at here, the signatures are different. I don't have two adds ints or two adds strings. I have to have them all unique. As long as they're unique, I can do multiple constructors. I can put a default constructor in there and say rectangle box 1 equals new rectangle, nothing. Rectangle box 2, new rectangle, nothing. That's allowed. So I can put multiple constructors in. The first would be the no-R constructor. And if we set it up correctly, we'd say like length is 1 and width is 1 with our no-R constructor. The second would use an original constructor and would have a length of 5 and a width of 10. And the only reason you don't see this is earlier it said the no-R constructor would automatically set the length and the width to 1. So let's go back to the car. Open project, the car one I was working on. And that was called on, oh man. Okay, just got to find it. No, let's just look at, let's cancel this. Let's look at recently used. I think there's a recently used, open recent projects. There we go. Create Java classes. That's the one I want. Okay, so here's my auto. I could create another constructor. I'll put it up here. That just does public auto. And it's going to have nothing. And in it, I might set make equals Chevy, I don't know, Chevy model equals, I don't know, what's a Chevy Blazer. I don't know if they still make Blazers anymore. I don't think so. And year would equal 2002. So there's our Chevy Blazer, and I got to put these in because they're strings. And there I have two different constructors. So if I go back here, instead of car 2, I could just do this. I'll just get rid of all that. And there's using a constructor. So the first one, Ford Explorer 2020, is going to come in here and say, oh, I got 3 things. I have a string, and an integer. Nope, can't use this one. Oh, yeah, here's a string, integer. I'm going to use this one. The second one is going to go and say, I've got nothing. And it says, up, here's one with nothing. And it's going to use this one. So if I run this, the Ford Explorer is traveling at 39.5. The Chevy Blazer is traveling at 50.6. It works. Because I still have the accelerator going from 44 to 5.6. So that's using overloading. I can overload methods, as you saw, and I can overload constructors. Why do we overload constructors or methods? Again, the most flexibility in my code. For having a couple constructors like this, multiple uses could come from it, and I can reuse the code. So that's why I might want to put it in. So that's it for overloading. Questions, email me or write in the discussion board, and we'll talk to you later.